The Lord himself will give you a sign. Look,
the virgin will conceive a child.
She will give birth to a son and call him Emmanuel,
which means God with us.
The people who walk in darkness will see a great light.
For those who live in a land of deep darkness, a light will shine.
For a child is born to us, a son is given.
And he will be called Wonderful Counselor,
Mighty God,
Everlasting Father,
Prince of Peace.
The time came for her baby to be born, and she gave birth to him, a firstborn son.
And wrapped him in swaddling cloths and laid him in a manger,
because there was no room for them in the inn.
After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked,
"Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him."
Then Herod found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said,
"Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him."
Then Herod found out from them the exact time the star had appeared.
He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I may too go to worship him."
After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was.
When they saw the star, they were overjoyed.
On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him.
Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
One of the traditions that we have in my family is that we get together and we watch Christmas movies together. And because this particular tradition starts well before Thanksgiving, by the time Christmas actually rolls around, I have seen all of them, and their sequels, and their Disney series spin-offs. I've seen them all, and they all kind of follow the same arc. The young woman who's ready to give up on love meets the handsome man of her dreams this Christmas season. What is she going to do? Or Santa Claus falls off from a roof, thereby invoking the Santa Claus. The story of how one man's life is uprooted as he discovers a higher purpose. Like I said, I've seen them all. And I've noticed that two things are always true. Is that number one, all of the complications always get resolved. And number two, it usually takes about 95 minutes. For real life though, real life is different, isn't it? Real life, the complications don't go away in about 95 minutes. They stick around. And in real life, around Christmas time, all of these complications have a way of like bubbling up to the surface, coming right in front of you in a way that you really can't ignore them anymore. There's problems that you can't solve. There's expectations that you can't meet. There's people that you can't change. And so amidst of a very complicated Christmas, I want to remind you of our origin story of Christmas. That Christmas is and always has been complicated. It started with a young woman, a teen mom, who found herself pregnant, and her fiance, Joseph, wasn't the father. He just wanted to get on with his carpentry business in Galilee, make it all just go away, break up with her quietly. But an angel comes to him and says, "Don't be afraid to take Mary home as your wife." And he does, but then Caesar issues this decree about a census. They have to go to Bethlehem. It's a very long trip with a very pregnant wife on the back of a donkey. And on top of that, Bethlehem is this little town. It swells in size. There's no hotel rooms available. Joseph didn't call ahead like Mary asked him to 100 times. They sleep out in a barn. And wouldn't you know that it was on that night, with the animals all around them, that Jesus, the Prince of Peace, broke into this world. It's a complicated story. And Jesus' life was never really all that uncomplicated as time went by. And Jesus' friend John, he wants to share this story with the world. He wants to share this story with you. And so in John 1, he puts a pen to paper, and in verses 4 and 5, he writes that in him, in Jesus, there was life. And that life was the light to all. And the light shone in the darkness. And the darkness has not overcome it. This Christmas, this complicated Christmas, maybe it's time that you share that light with the person that you can't change. Maybe it's time that you shed that light on the problem that you can't solve, or the expectation that you can't meet. Because you can't change everyone. You can't introduce them to the one who changes everything. You can't solve every problem, but you can introduce them to the solution. Church, you carry the light with you. Maybe that's why Jesus has you in this particular complicated Christmas. So dinner might be overcooked. You may have given or received the wrong gifts. And the one person that you really, really wanted to spend Christmas with couldn't make it for whatever reason. Before you throw in the towel and call another complicated Christmas a bust, don't forget that the darkness has never overcome the light. Not now, not then, not ever. Merry Christmas.